very categorically said that he has discovered Christianity. He then went on to say that he hopes that his wife would convert to the Christian faith one day.
And yes, my wife did not grow up Christian. I think it's fair to say that she grew up in a Hindu family, but not in a particularly religious family in either direction. In fact, when I met my wife, we were both, I would consider myself an agnostic or an atheist, and that's what I think she would have considered herself as well. Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her, and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love.
Nowhere in that entire answer did I get the feeling that it was persuasion. It was not that you have to convert to the Christian faith. Yogi, the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, he wears saffron robes. He's also criticized for that, but he's also very open about that. But again, it's not that he wants to, stop other religious practices or other religions. That's not true, for whatever else the liberal media might say about that. Hello, namaskar. Welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. To become a subscriber, all you have to do is to press that red button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free, and would also really appreciate if you could like this video and share this video with your friends. All right. I feel for JD Vance. I really do. He's under attack both from the liberal media in America. I'm in the US right now. He's also under attack from the liberal media in India. And the ostensible reason that he's under attack is because he wants to convert his wife, Usha Vance, to Christianity. The entire liberal media is really after him. The Washington Post, the New York Times, the Guardians of the World, France 24, you name it, all the liberal media. But I beg to differ. I think if I analyze very closely at to what he has said, and it is not so much about his expression of his Christian belief, which I'm talking about, but his entire explanation of Usha Vance, of what he hopes from her, all that so-called controversy, and I'm going to analyze that controversy in this podcast. I do feel for the man. The simple question which I'm asking is that what else was he supposed to say, or what else was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to give some kind of an answer? And there would be no kind of perfect answer which would satisfy the liberal media. I promise you that. What could have been a better answer? You could look at it from that point of view also. But let's go step by step and analyze this issue. So obviously this was in a meeting or in a gathering of younger people, and this question was asked to him that about his wife, and that why is he trying to persuade her to the Christian faith, and he very categorically said that he has discovered Christianity. He then went on to say that he hopes that his wife would convert to the Christian faith one day. But nowhere in that entire answer did I get the feeling that it was persuasion. It was not that you have to convert to the Christian faith. But people are obviously criticizing him for that, even that expression of support. What my explanation of the entire thing is, what I've understood from the entire thing. At the end of the day, the concept of a secular country or a secular nation state is a construct of the liberal media, of the so-called secular media, in which religion has no role to play. But the reality, as we all know, is completely different on the ground. In country after country, religion is now playing a very, very important role. Look at India, for instance. The Prime Minister, of course, is an ardent champion of Hinduism, but not the kind of Hinduism that you ram it down other people's throat. Nothing of that sort. He is absolutely open about practicing the Hindu faith. He goes to temples, he worships, he sits in sadhana, in meditation. We have seen that. Yogi also, the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, he wears saffron robes. He's also criticized for that, but he's also very open about that. But again, It's not that he wants to, he wants to stop other religious practices or other religions. That's not true, for whatever else the liberal media might say about that. So that's as far as India is concerned. Now, in America, under the new president, and let's face facts, the reality is there is a vast MAGA base, that is a Make America Great Again base, which is primarily a Christian base. And therefore, you would expect the president of the US, you would expect the vice president of the US to adhere or even to acknowledge the feelings of that particular base. It's completely natural. What is so unnatural about it? You and I could have a religious persuasion which is probably different. We could be secular, agnostic, we could be this religion or that religion, whatever. That's not the point. But the point is, if in America the new administration actually cares about the MAGA base, which is a huge base in the Midwest and America, then if they are acknowledging that particular base, the first question which I'm asking is, what's wrong with that? It is absolutely okay. It's very, very different from the fanaticism which you see of other religions, and I'm not going to name the other religions, which are thrust down upon you that we will behead you, we will do this to you if you don't convert. Nothing of that sort. What JD Vance really said was that, yeah, he would hope that his wife becomes a Christian one day, but he also said in the same interaction with younger members in the audience that he's absolutely fine if she practices a Hindu faith. Now, here's the thing. Recall the visit of JD Vance to India, and I still remember that JD Vance with Usha and their two children, they had gone to the Akshardham temple. And there, if you recall, he was wearing the children, and Usha, of course, was wearing, I think, a sari or a salwar kameez, I forget now. And JD was also wearing some kind of a kurta, and they had these malas. They had these marigold malas around their necks, and they spent a lot of time in the Akshardham temple. Now, what was that all about? It was all about the simple fact. It was an expression, nothing was really said. And he was really enjoying himself. And it was not that the children were converting to Hinduism, that they were false Christians or anything of that sort. But the fact is, it is an racial, inter-religious marriage, no question about it. And that side of the mother's side, and they were all going to see that. They all wanted to enjoy that experience, which they did. And similarly, Usha Vance, when in America, she goes to churches. She's said that even though she might or might not be a practicing Hindu or an agnostic, I don't know about that. But she certainly is not a Christian, that is for sure. But she definitely goes to church, and she spends time there along with her husband. Her husband is a believer, as he has already said. Now, here's the thing. In private, what is the religious persuasion of a couple, or for that matter, of important people? And these are people who are right on the top, these are people, important, powerful people. We don't know. And I'll give you this absolutely fantastic example, which will make the entire thing very clear. The liberal media never ever points, I'm talking of the Indian liberal media, the so called secular media. The Indian secular media in India never points a finger at Sonia Gandhi. Now, Sonia Gandhi, to give her credit, she wears saris, she has sported the tilak at some points in time. And there is all kind of speculation. Is she a practicing Christian? Is she a practicing Hindu? Or what exactly is her religious persuasion? And the short answer is nobody knows. That's right. Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows. Do you know what Sonia Gandhi really practices in her home? What religious practice, whether she is an ardent Christian or she is an ardent Hindu or whatever she is, nobody knows. And that's the short point which I'm making. If you can accept Sonia Gandhi in India, the secular media can accept Sonia Gandhi, why can't they accept JD Vance? All JD Vance really said at that rally was that, yes, I have discovered Christianity. I used to be agnostic. I was shown the path. I became a Christian. I go to the church. I go to Sunday. My children are Christian, but my wife is an Hindu. Uh, I will, if she converts to Christianity, hey, wonderful. But even if she doesn't find, it's okay by me. That's all he said. That's the summation of what JD Vance says. What's so wrong about that? And I gave you the example of Sonia Gandhi. I gave you the example that now more and more countries, countries like America, countries like India, religion is playing an important role. No question about it. You can't look the other way, and you have the socialistic, communist, old paradigm of the so-called secularism, religious free state. Religion has to be divorced from realpolitik or from polity. It doesn't really happen in real life, because these are, after all, at the end of the day, these are people. They have also feelings, they have also persuasions, they also are people of faith. And if they want to practice their faith, if they want to, the problem would, I would think, would occur is if they force people to convert, if they force people to practice a certain kind of a faith. Yes, then there is a problem. I completely agree. But JD Vance is not doing that. Be absolutely very, very clear. JD Vance has never said anything like that. And therefore, this criticism of him, and then on top of that, you attach the name of Erica along with that, that they are supposed to be having some kind of a rollicking affair, which is completely fake news rubbish. My own estimation is, I could be completely wrong, but my own estimation is that Mr. Vance and Usha Vance are very, very happily married. They are perfectly clear of the arrangements of faith, persuasion between themselves and between what their kids should be believing in. I think they are very, very clear. I don't think so there is any kind of conflict. The conflict is only in the minds of the liberal so-called secular media, which smells rats wherever. They just want to bring down JD Vance. And why do they want to do that? The reason is very simple. See, the President of the United States is a different entity altogether. If you have noticed, none of these controversies can touch him because he has a very aggressive, a very different persona. But I do believe Mr. Vance, as a vice president, is still a little vulnerable, and maybe he's been anointed secretly by the president of the US as his probable successor after the 4 year term is over. Who knows? And that is why the media is going after him. They want to color him. They want to color him in terms of contradictions, in terms of fanaticism, but that is not the case. And that's the point which I am making again and again. Religion is a personal business. Look at the fact that, give credit to JD Vance, that he answered that question. How many other leaders would have answered that particular question? He was smiling throughout that question, maybe a little uncomfortable, sure, but it was a very stingy, uncomfortable question. But to give him credit, he did not stop the interview, the question, the person who had put the question. He answered that question. He took his time. He came across, I think, quite genuinely, you know. The part of persuading Usha Vance, well, may be true, may not be true, but then that is a private arrangement between two people who are weak to comment on that. And that's the point which I'm making, that today we live in a changed world, in a different world, where religion, whether we like it or not, is a persuasion, is a matter of faith. It is important to people. And the final example which I want to give you, and hopefully will stay with you, will make it absolutely even clear. It's like when you are an important person, and let's say you join a company, a traditional company, okay? And in that traditional company, in a corporate, you are supposed to wear a tie and a shirt, and you are supposed to be formally dressed. And then you land up in your office wearing a t-shirt and you're wearing short pants and sneakers. Now, will that do? Will the office accept you? And the same is the case with the vice presidency of the United States. It is a formal office. There is a responsibility that these people at the top have towards their constituents. Primarily, a lot of these constituents, which includes the white population of America, the Hispanic population, they are primarily Christian. Let's face facts. So the man has a certain responsibility to that, and he is just living up to that responsibility. He's being formal about it. He's being, to a large extent, I would say, very truthful about it. He's acknowledging that particular thing also. Nothing wrong with that. As I said, it's a formality of the high office, which you cannot go to work in, as I said, in a t-shirt and in sneakers and in short pants. It's the same thing. You can't be just, liberally talk about religion or whatever. It is a serious matter. It has to be addressed with seriousness. It has to be addressed with a degree of sagacity, wisdom, with a degree of also, because these are treacherous waters. One wrong slip or something, and you can be in a problem. Nobody wants that. These are the rules of the game. These are the rules of the high office, which I think JD Vance very, very well did. And my final argument is that I do think that the marriage of Mr. JD Vance with Usha Vance is absolutely rocking. It's going on. You can see that they really care for each other from all the visuals, and therefore all this talk, all this rubbish with Erica and this and that is just that complete rubbish. Don't believe any of that. I don't think so. It is true. And therefore, give the man some space. Give him the man. I think he answered that very truthfully, with a lot of confidence, without shirking, without avoiding anything. Give him full marks for that. And therefore, there's nothing more than meets the eye. This is who these people really are, what they are. I think was coming out in the public as who they really stand for. But at the end of the day, certainly I would say religion is still a private matter. But yes, you still have to talk and address that matter in public if your constituents, like in America and like in India also, large part of your constituency are people of religious faith, of a particular kind of a religious faith, then you have to address this. You cannot shirk it in the guise of liberalism or secularism. And so, on this note, I come to the end of this podcast. I hope you liked it. Till next time, cheers from my end.